97K BTC. What a big change from yesterday. Everything was pumping. We were feeling euphoric, and now we're getting that little pullback. So thankfully, we got some of those shorts as well. So we're going to cover a lot of those altcoins now. Is it time for the reversal? Are we going to get our bull back that we've been looking for? Are we going to get a little bullish pullback? Are we getting some entries on altcoins? So I'm covering all of that today, guys. We've got so much to talk about. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Ray is in the house, obviously. He's part of the furniture here. And you can see I've made my Lord of Entry sign red today. So follow me on Twitter there at the Lord of Entry. I think it's a fair call. You make it red. Ray, you bullish? Did you close your short from yesterday?
We showed it a couple more times, but yeah, we're long now. I'm long virtual and Arkham. I actually cut my Bitcoin long just to bank that, but I've stayed in Arkham and virtual.
Okay, so yesterday, hopefully, some of you guys, let us know in the chats who got some shorts yesterday. We got that injective short. What a banger. I've closed that one. We got the Bitcoin short. What a banger. And we have now flipped long on BTC. Maybe it's a little bit premature. We're going to find out today. We're going to know as we start ticking over. So let's get into a couple of things. Nice blood red banter bubbles. Now, you know this is the shit that I love. And the fifth man, he says, do not fear, the beard is here. And I think he got it validated today, I believe. He said so in the chats. Guys, there was pressure out there today. There was definitely some pressure. And you can see blood red here for us. And this gives us an opportunity. Basically, it's as simple as this. If the market is going to remain bullish, well, these are the opportunities where we get some of our best entries. If it's not now, it's going to be a little bit lower down on some of these altcoins. So I'm going to guide you through all of that stuff. And we're going to try and secure entries. If your bias is bullish here, these are the bullish zones that we're going to be looking at now. So let's jump into BTC, and you can see why we have flipped long. We've just hit our first big reaction zone. So I dropped this in my market report on Chart Hackers earlier today, and then I've been updating as we go. And I told the guys that I've closed my short and I've flipped long, but what an absolute banger. So let's just talk, where were we yesterday? So just a reminder, why did we reject there? Why was that a short zone? Well, for me, it was as simple as riding up a 618 rejection zone on BTC, tying it in with some hot zones there. You can see that liquidity up there. We had that wick, and that told us there were odds on some kind of reversal there on BTC. So it was as simple as that. We didn't have to make it complicated. See two things on your chart, and then you can take the play. So now we've dropped into our zone. You can see why I flipped long. What support am I using? You can see in this region here, we've got 97,500. It's my 50-day moving average. We've also got the lows at 97.5. So we know this region as a whole is some kind of reaction zone. And then the big one for me is this anchored VWAP from the lows. This is from the dump on the 31st of December. This is from the lows that we got on BTC, and that is now holding up as support. So anything down to 96,750 for me looks like an area where we should get some kind of reversal. Now, Ray, what does that look like? I mean, that was a bit of an accident. Excuse me for drawing that on the chart, but that is what we're looking at there. So that is my my first level of interest. Then a little bit lower down, obviously we got to pull out the 618, obviously 95,770. If this zone fails where we are now, it's 95,770 where we most likely get the next reaction. So that is what I'm really looking for to the downside. And now, because of the situation, there's going to be quite a few late shorters. So I expect, if we bounce here, I expect to move up into these types of regions. I'm not quite expecting new highs, but anything like that would make sense to me. So something up to a baby 101, just retest that zone for us. If the bounce comes a little bit later, again, same story, just expecting that move up. It's a matter of when we get that bounce rather than if we are going to get that bounce. So just waiting for these two zones. And something I love to do, guys, and this can help you a lot when you under pressure in the market, when the market's falling over and you sitting in altcoins. Some of the best things you can do is go onto Bitcoin on the 1 hour, pull up. If you don't have chart prime, this is my chart prime oscillator. If you don't have chart prime, you can also try the regular RSI. Okay, bring up your regular RSI, and this tells you when you are about to get some kind of snapback reversal or some kind of stop in the move to the downside. So look at that 1 hour reversal on the RSI is dropping right into those lows there. And that tells us that, you know, the market might not bounce there. But what we do know is they generally start putting the brakes on when that is happening. And if that is tying into some kind of reaction zone and that is tying into some kind of hot zone, then the odds start stacking in your favor that you might get a reaction in that zone, and you can start sniffing around there and try and tie in some of your alts on their corresponding level. So right now you can see that reaction at play now on the 1 hour. That is nice, but our 2 hour does have some work to do to the downside, so we're not quite here, and that is why these levels slightly lower down could come into play for us. So look out on that anchored VWAP 96,800. Watch that. 95,770. Watch that. That might tie in with that 2 hour reset that we are looking at. Then we can get maybe that secondary bounce. So just look out for that. We might not be out of the woods just yet. Okay, so here is the long, and Ray and I were just talking offline now before we went live. During the show yesterday, when I opened that short, do you guys remember I raised that stop loss? And thankfully, I raised my stop a little bit higher during the show. So while I was sleeping, obviously, we just missed that by a couple of dollars, and then it obviously paid out. So remember, guys, be generous with your stops. If you've got a hot zone, be generous with it. Don't panic out of things, and try and understand what they like to do. We were saying they might want to come up there, flush us out before they send it lower. So just a couple of tips and tricks for you guys there on how you can deal with these types of things. Now, we got so much to talk about here. My screen is full here of charts and news and things for you. So let's get into this. But firstly, I just want to say, those of you that have committed to watching the show, and never mind, not my show, it could be anyone's show. If you're learning and you're putting in the time, you're putting in the hours here in the crypto market, you are going to be rewarded. Now, this meme was just banger. I mean, the 24/7 obsession for years. Okay, that's me. Okay, that is what I've been doing. And then the guys at the bottom there, oh, but you just got lucky. Okay, well, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. You've clocked the hours. You've learned new skills. You are doing the work. Okay, and let them think you are lucky while you're buying tons of handbags later on. You concur, right? Concurs. Okay, you do the work. Nothing in life comes without grinding the shit out, feeling the pain. Okay, so well done. For those of you that are here, those of you that are sticking through all of this. Now, a couple of things in the news. Cointelegraph telling us Polymarket predicts pro-crypto politician 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗦 has the 80% chance of becoming the next Canadian Prime Minister. Now, I have to play you guys this video because it's so fucking awkward. And this is Justin Trudeau, the video that I'm going to play you, Ray. You're going to have to just tell me if you can hear this. I'm going to pull this up now. Just, guys, forgive me. When I'm playing videos here, I'm going to pull up a different screen for you. So excuse my boomer vibes here. Let's see if we can just get this one in. And I'm going to share the sound. Ray, let me know if you can hear this properly. I'm just going to turn up that volume. This video is so fucking awkward.
Beyond having a plan to make people mad and amplify and reflect back that anger.
Can you hear this?
We haven't really seen a lot of proposals.
So this is Justin Trudeau in 2023, basically ragging this guy, this new prime minister, or the predicted prime minister, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗦, saying he has no ideas. And then he said, well, he had one stupid idea, and that was to buy BTC. Look at this.
From Mr. Poilievre. I mean, he did make one. That's not fair. You're right. He had one great opportunity for people to opt out of inflation. He recommended this last spring. You can opt out of inflation if you invest your money in Bitcoin. Yeah. No. He stayed up late, watched all sorts of YouTube videos, and came to that conclusion. He said that himself. Buy Bitcoin, opt out of inflation. Well, any Canadian who actually listened to, maybe that's why those guys with the flags are so mad at me. Any Canadian who listened to him would have lost more than half their life savings since last March.
So awkward. So fucking awkward.
That's not.
What was the price of BTC in 2020? What was it?
It was about 25 and 30, like 25 and 30, because the bottom was 15.5 in October. So around January, it was back to 25.
So the man was not wrong. Okay, the man was not wrong. Okay, so look, if this guy comes into power, obviously now we're seeing the shift. We've seen a lot of leaders getting involved in crypto. They're becoming pro-crypto. If he comes into power, obviously it changed the landscape in Canada. That obviously has an effect, a ripple effect on other leaders as well. And Chaos says he's a ball bag. And has anybody watched this? What is this at the bottom here? Squid Games. This guy with a crypto guy as well. That is hilarious. But yeah, that crypto ruined my life too. But anyway, that is that. Then we've got the Honduras leading presidential candidate also wearing a BTC cap. Now, was it as a handout or did he actually choose to wear this thing. So the stuff's definitely going down there, out there on the news, and big stuff happening now with NVIDIA, and they are in the news again. These guys never seem to disappear. NVIDIA is always bringing the action, obviously playing a part in the AI agent pump that we have, and a lot of the AI moves that we are seeing at the moment. So NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says it's clear that the autonomous vehicle revolution has arrived. Look at the partnerships that they got going on there. Toyota, what are the other big ones there? Volvo, that's a banger as well. And the stuff is going down. So NVIDIA in the news, they are now in the race to chase the $4 trillion market cap at the moment. So things are definitely going down. You can see how NVIDIA has caught Apple over the last couple of years now. I mean, it's amazing how these things can shift with sentiment as well. So just touching the NVIDIA chart here for you guys, you can see we've got a major weekly level at play. 132, 133 is where it's at for me. That is our major level. So if you're sitting in NVIDIA positions, that is a massive move. Are we ever going to go lower than this on NVIDIA with all the news that is happening, all the things that are going down at the moment? Yeah, it's a massive support level here. And I would expect if we do get a dip in the market at some point, 130, that's a nice little level there for NVIDIA. It's a massive weekly zone. You can see the amount of candles sitting in that area. So if there is a bit of weakness or a little bit of a sell-off on the S&P like we are experiencing now, maybe that is going to be an opportunity for you guys at around 130 on NVIDIA. So just a quick look at the S&P. We can see we've had a sell-off today, and that is tied in nicely with that Bitcoin sell-off at the moment. And we have now hit our first support zone on the S&P 500. You can see that's our 50-day MA. This was the region that we were looking at for our first potential bounce. So you can see we're getting a reaction now on the S&P, but remember, Bitcoin hates these sell-offs. Okay, Bitcoin hates the S&P selling off like that. It often starts sweating as well, and that is where we feel the pain. So really, for sentiment, we want a flat S&P or a pumping S&P to help the market at the moment for us. So right now, after yesterday's gap up, we have now filled the gap, and this is now something that we need to pay attention to. Now, doesn't this look like something we've seen on BTC as well on the daily chart? So potential head and shoulders now after that rejection, unfortunately, and now the S&P needs to grind higher pretty fast to get us out of this mess. So support 5,900, watching that, and then a little bit lower down, 5,850 is where we at on the S&P, and here is BTC on the daily. Are we back now after that little pump to the to the right shoulder? We were looking at this as a possible head and shoulders yesterday, but look what they've done. They've come and taken out a level to the upside, and now we are putting pressure back in this range. So if we get a daily close, yes sir.
Just to add on that, from the top, if you anchor the view up from the all-time high, we're literally sitting on the anchored view up now. Just
yes. Okay, I think it's on my 2-hour chart as well. I think we've got that on the 2-hour chart. So we can see this is a level. Now, this is BTC on the daily. What I want to see, obviously, is a candle close above that 100K. We were talking yesterday. We want to see this candle start closing above this region. We want to start grinding higher. We want that type of situation to play out for us so we can take out our 114K target that we are looking at the moment. So right now, you're getting held up by the 50-day moving average. That's coming into play. Ideally, we want to hold above the 100K. So if we can push up there today, that would be pleasing, I would say, for us. You can see there's that VWAP that Ray is talking about. That's from the absolute highs. It's tying in with our 50-day MA. That is why we're getting our bounce there. Also a trend in play for us. So that, again, is why that is a hot zone for us. So let's keep going, Ray. Keep us posted here as we go. Let's see if we're going to get rinsed. We're going to get rinsed here, or we're going to pump on this thing at the moment. Right now, I don't have my stop in place. So Ray, if things start really falling over, keep me posted, because I want to try and ride that VWAP. That VWAP sitting a little bit lower down. So if we do get that move, I want to try and add there before we start cutting. Teddy says he loves the Discord. I'm assuming he's talking about chart hackers there. Okay, yesterday, let's get into altcoins now. Total 3 on the daily, and again, bullish pump for us, break of trend, retest. This is exactly what we were saying yesterday. This is why we took some head shorts. Injector, we shorted, yesterday I had a AR short running, I had a phantom short running as well, and we were looking at this move to the downside potentially on the total 3. So this is our bounce now, 50-day MA coming into play. Look at Bitcoin, 50-day MA, horizontals, trend. So if we are going to get a bounce, this is really where you want to see it now on these alts. You want them to start printing new highs and start grinding higher. That is obviously the ultimate game plan here. Otherwise, we're going to end up calling this a complete fake out in a week's time if we get a situation like that and then we start drifting down and we start closing under that trend. It's not going to be a pleasant experience for us. So if these alts are going to bounce, this is it. This is where we need them to bounce. 980 billion. You can see they are fighting that area at the moment. And then what I did mention yesterday was this dominance was a problem for us, but less of a problem if Bitcoin is pumping. If Bitcoin is pumping, we are happy, we are chilled, and that's fine if dominance starts going up. But the issue comes if Bitcoin's falling over and that dominance pumps, these alts are going to get absolutely wrecked if this if that starts playing out. So you can see we've got Bitcoin on the daily. Look at our dominance. That's a confirmed reversal there that we've got on our chart prime oscillator, and you can see it doesn't have to be a massive reversal. You can see we've had situations in the past where we have had some upside there on dominance, but it wasn't like as bad as it could be. But I just want to highlight this here. If we do get this next big reversal, we are looking for me at around about 60%, maybe just underneath that 60% level before we get some relief. So let's hope that comes with a Bitcoin pump rather than a Bitcoin dump. Okay, so you've got your information that you got to play with. Now, let's get stuck into ETH. Now, isn't this uncanny how these things play out time and time again? And this is a simple lower high that we were looking at on ETH. What did we look at? A 618 rejection. Where have we seen a 618 rejection before? Bang, on Bitcoin. Okay, same story, same chart, same situation here. Both of them just playing out now according to this plan. So here comes ETH rejecting on the daily. Now, how does ETH remain bullish here? How do we play this ETH game? If this trend is going to continue to the downside with a $2,800 target, well, then there's nothing we can do. But where can the bulls step in for us? Where can the bulls come to the party and say, okay, hang on, let's drive this thing higher? Well, for me, it's right here at this VWAP. You can see this VWAP at the lows. You're going to see a lot of altcoins reacting off these types of VWAPs here. So that is 3,400 down to 3,300. For me, we need to see that bounce in that type of region. I don't really want to go lower than that. We want to print that higher low there again and then start grinding higher on ETH. So 3,300 is pretty much the extreme for me. You can see that was our lows during the December vacation period that we had, that 3,300. So we don't want to lose that. If we start closing under there, then things start turning dirty, and then we start talking about this downtrend being in place. So just understand, this has been a warning bell for us. This has been on our radar for a while, and this trend on these alts. Now, is this a possibility that it can start playing out? Yes, it can, with that dominance dump and the total 3 losing that 50-day MA. So let's just watch that carefully. But I suspect we do get some kind of short-term bounce at some point if it turns bullish. That remains to be seen later on. But key levels for you guys, 3,300. You want to hold that higher low on ETH, then lower down 3,100. Don't really want to lose that. Now, let's talk a couple of trades. So 𝗬𝗎, yesterday I closed 𝗬𝗎 live on the show, and I gave you various reasons why. Now I've started a new 𝗬𝗎 long position. I'm going to show you the chart. I'm going to show you why I've gone long on 𝗬𝗎, and we're going to keep it super simple. You can see I've got a very tight stop loss at the moment, 4.779, super tight stop. Let's see if that is going to play out for us. I'm going to give you that chart in a second. Then Cardano, had a crack at Cardano. It was showing relative strength today before it fell over. So I've had a go on that Cardano. Then 𝗬𝗎 as well, also into some of my zones there. 𝗬𝗎, I've got the chart prepped and ready for you guys. I've added twice to that trade so far today. Then XRP from yesterday, no real changes from yesterday. I suspect XRP is still a trade for us. Render, holding that guy from yesterday. You can see that is still nicely in profit. We are now in a bullish zone. I have added a little bit to my Render long. Obviously, my assumption here is that we are going to get a bounce, even if it's a short-term move. So you can see my Render size is now $72,800 plus 7. So it's about $80,000 in size. Brett, I cut a little bit of my Brett position, my Brett long, that's now 63. You can see my head short on Brett is now printing for me. My Phantom short from yesterday, remember, Phantom's getting delisted from Bybit, maybe a few other exchanges. People are getting forced to close their Phantom positions. So for me, that made sense to sit in a Phantom short. You can see I've banked 2,300 already. I've got 7,000 still in the tank in profit. And that one, I'm just letting play out a little bit more for now. Let's see, leading into the 10th of January. AVAX, you can see my head short is now turning green. Arweave, that's a short from yesterday that I told you guys about. I've left that one open, but I've closed the injective short, and I've got an injective long teeing up for you guys in a couple of minutes. So here we go. Okay, let's talk 𝗬𝗎. So this is exactly what I spoke about yesterday. Why was I taking profit? You could see it was consolidating at the highs, and it was starting to look like anyone's guess as to what was going to happen next. So we took those profits, and then I did say, where's my next entry zone? Well, for me, it was 4.82 and it was 4.48. So these are my bullish zones here for 𝗬𝗎, and that is what I'm going to play at. So you can see 𝗬𝗎 is nearly reset now on our 4-hour. So ideally what we could see here is just a dip a little bit lower, and then maybe some kind of divergence would be ideal for us on 𝗬𝗎, and that will trigger a nice reversal for us. So that is what I'm looking for. Does that second dip, does that divergence come with a push into 4.48? We'll have to wait and see how that is going to play out. But if you're looking for hot zones, you're looking for potential zones to ladder into a position, if your bias is bullish, well, 4.82, number one, 4.48, number two, 4.486. Is number two. These are your bull zones, and even a little push down into that type of region there. So even 4.4, something around there, that would make sense to me. But we can see that 4-hour is getting close to a reversal, and when the 4-hour reverses on 𝗬𝗎, we tend to get some kind of upside move. So take a look here, just these couple of examples here. 4-hour at the downside, bang. Okay, 4-hour again to the downside, bang. 4-hour, you're starting to get the picture here that we do get these reversals. So a little bit of patience here. What we do know is that we can get a reversal print and then more downside later. So it's not a guarantee that just because you get the print, you don't go a little bit lower. So that is why I'm saying be prepped on both of these levels for 𝗬𝗎. Be ready to go. 4.82, 4.48, watch those levels there. Those are most likely coming into play before we get some kind of snapback bounce on 𝗬𝗎. So don't forget, guys, all of these charts get posted directly into Chart Hackers during and after the show. So just make sure you're watching the show for context, but the charts are going to be there sitting for you guys ready to go. Okay, so 𝗬𝗎, you covered there. What is our target? If we start jumping into 𝗬𝗎, well, there's a couple of things that you need to consider. If you are jumping into 𝗬𝗎 down here, let's say there is more weakness into 4.48, what are you going to look at? Well, ideally, you're just going to target 4.85, and you're going to target the high. So you're going to keep it pretty simple from that perspective. So it's going to look something like this. You keep your stop at around 2.5%, 3%, somewhere around there, and that is going to be your first trade. So it's going to be about 8%, and then you're going to target the highs about 18%. Now, if 𝗬𝗎 bounces earlier, you're going to target the highs again as your TP zone number one. So if it does dip into our little area here, you can see I've got backup on VWAP as well. So if it does dip into that zone, you are just going to target the highs. Then we're going to look at a little bit higher after that. But that's going to be phase two. So the same way we're going to see phase one, we'll look to break these horizontals, then trade higher. We're going to look the same here with 𝗬𝗎. We want to break the horizontals, then trade higher. So there could be a second trade there for you guys as well later on. So 𝗬𝗎, you got the levels, you got the game plan. Yes, that's it. Okay, 𝗬𝗎 covered. Okay, let's talk injective. Now that injective short, absolute banger. Why was it looking shorty? Well, I gave you the reasons. The chart prime oscillator was looking tired on the 4-hour. We were also at a major indicator for me, the 50-day moving average, always a banger. And that was just giving us pressure. Then we also had the quantum reactor in the way. So there were multiple reasons why we should have got some kind of reversal on injective, and it has played out perfectly. Okay, that absolute perfection. Maybe I've closed that short a little bit early looking at this chart, because you can see quite clearly injective wants to come a little bit lower. We don't have a major level here on injective until we start hitting 23.77, and then we're hitting 21.96. So these are your bull zone levels for injective. If the market is going to stay bullish, these are your zones. This is where you start building a position. This is where spot traders can start buying. They're looking at 23.8. You're buying there. You're buying a little bit lower down. You're buying at 21.96. You're buying at those levels. You are looking for a bullish bounce. You're looking for that higher low. Okay, so that is the game plan on injective. And anyone still sitting in the short, well, the target is 23.7 and 21.96. Those are your potential targets there on injective. But as far as a low leverage or a low margin trade or a spot trade is concerned, this is a nice little setup here on injective. If the market's going to stay bullish, I expect this thing to grind higher, give us one more print higher at least. Okay, you can see we've had that move already. Just one more of those would be pleasing. Okay, they can send us to hell after that, but that is what I want to see. We need to see that. We need to see that move on injective. So you're nearly there, injective traders. Then Solana. as well. Also, nice sell-off. What did it reject off? VWAP from the highs, bang. 50-day MA, bang. And down we come. So SOL right now, hot zone number 1, 204.8. You can see that's moving into an area of interest. And then 200's got to be the banger. It's got to be the degen level. So for me, look, that tells us we might have more downside. Okay, so my long on BTC is going to get rinsed. But for me, SOL at 200, that's a banger. Okay, look at that. We've got horizontals in play here, tons of that. We got a VWAP, we got our 100-day MA, we got our 0.5, we got double trend. For me, that's a bounce zone on Solana. 200, that is a level. If you start closing under 198, maybe you want to start trimming. Maybe you want to start cutting a little bit there after that if we start closing, because that's telling us we are potentially then moving lower to attack those lows again. You might even see 170 and things like that. So just looking at the 8 hour, you can see this 8 hour is hungry to come down. It is pushing, but it can do that along the way, and that can tell us, 4 hour bounces, 1 hour bounces. So it doesn't mean we won't get short-term moves in the interim, but you can see that 8 hour pressure wants to come down. 4 hour, a little bit more. Okay, look out. 4 hours nearly there, looking for that move into the lows on SOL. And then let's take a look at that 1 hour and just see where we are. When you're ready. There it is. Okay, so almost a 1 hour reversal. So what does the story tell me? The story tells me potential bounce off this 382 now for SOL, but because the 4 hour wants to come down, because the 8 hour wants to come down, that might mean it's a short-lived bounce. So if, we might get something like this, little dip there, and then that little push, and then we go on that 200. So just watch out. That is a scenario that you need to look out for. I'll make sure this chart is in Chart Hackers there for you guys. Okay, so SOL, you've got the levels, and then your target is just going to be the 50-day MA. Again, you're not going to get ahead of yourself, so you're looking at 219, 220. Anything that happens after that is a bonus. Okay, if we start pushing higher, we deal with it when we get there. But let's first grab an entry. Let's grab a bullish entry. Let's make sure these bulls are actually going to step in. We don't want a situation where the bulls fucking disappear. Okay, that's not going to be pleasant. So again, watch those levels, work on your entries, focus on the entries rather than where you're going to take profit for now, and don't look too far ahead. We just want to get those entries in play. Now, let's talk some AI agents again. Now, I covered this AI agent situation yesterday, and I thought, look, we got to look at a couple more today, and then tomorrow or the day after we can look at some gaming tokens as well. But I just want you guys fully versed on some of these AI agents, and I just want you to be ahead of the curve here where possible. So AI agents are a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity according to the NVIDIA CEO, and he's showing you perception AI, generative AI, agentic AI, physical AI. He's given a whole speech. Okay, this man's in the news. Okay, Miles reminding us, this was yesterday, that in the last 30 days in crypto, AI agents were the biggest performer. You can see that is AI agents on the left here, that green bar. The rest all absolute dog shit according to performance. So AI indicators 120%, the rest absolute dog shit. Okay, so going down. Now Rodo, I dropped this one yesterday. Again, if you want a little bit more information about AI agents and what is potting and what is good, you can follow Rodolfo Pozo A on Twitter. He drops some banging alpha, okay, and he writes a couple of threads, and he's a man. He's known to pick a few small caps out there in the past. So take a look at what he has to say. I'm not going to speak about this one again. We did cover that one yesterday, but some tokens we need to talk about. So I'm still building my virtuals position, and virtuals, these AI agents are getting made on virtuals protocol, and you can see I've got a double bottom on virtuals on the 4 hour. I've got a reversal print. It hasn't hit my secondary main entry zone yet, but I had a entry limit order waiting on WEX, and it's actually missed that by a couple of cents. So I added a little bit manually, but you can see virtuals is tracking down, and so far looking good. The longer this thing bleeds out for me, the better. And I think the harder the bounce we're going to get. So ideally, 3.24 is still what I'm looking for on virtuals. 3.24 is still what I want to see. That is the absolute banger entry for me if we get that. Now, if we don't get that, that's the exact reason I wanted to be in the position, just in case it starts running away from us without me. So I'm in it now, a small size, but if we do get momentum, then we can start adding on breaks of horizontals. We can add on breaks of trends and things like that. So right now, virtuals is telling me on the 4 hour, it does want to reverse. Okay, we can see that coming into play, but where's my dream level? 3.24. Okay, so that is virtuals. Still waiting on that. And just to cover, you can see here's my virtual trade. I had a limit order set at 3.75. Look at this thing, missed it by a couple of cents. So I've added a little bit to the position manually just in case it doesn't come back there. So pretty frustrating here that we missed that buy order. And you can see here's my virtual trade now. It's now $10,000 in size. H-bar, I've taken a scalp on H-bar off a VWAP. Okay, that was just a scalp. So that is not a position that I'm trying to grow now. That is something I've just jumped into now as a scalp. We're going to look at that one as well. Then AIXBT got absolutely flattened on that AIXBT yesterday. I see Steve's calling guard candles. AIXBT flattened me yesterday, started again. I'm going to show you that AIXBT chart and getting rinsed on whiff again. So that whiff went negative $5,000 or $6,000. It went to plus $2,000 or $3,000. Now it's just dipping back, looking for that bull back. Okay, so I'm staying in this whiff position. Let's see if we can get what we want out of it. So let's go. AIXBT. This thing, super volatile, but we can see on the 1 hour, we might be getting a short-term reversal here on the AIXBT. And you can see the levels of interest for me. So I've jumped in again on this guy, and then I've got a big level for you guys lower down for 0.4657. That's the most obvious zone for me. It's a 0.5 fib. So I've actually dropped that level. Yesterday, we were looking at this VWAP zone. You can see that VWAP tied in with horizontals at 4.91. But then a little bit lower down, we've got a 0.5 fib. We've got a macro trend as well. So I'm interested in that zone. 0.465 is what we're watching there on AIXBT. But you can see I'm underway here. I started this position again. So if we get dips lower down, I'm going to be buying. I've lowered that that leverage to 7x. Okay, so that should help me on the way down there. And Sebastian, what's happening, bro? Pleasure. I'm here every single day. Sebastian, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're enjoying the content, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Guys, I'm here every day on Banter Plus. This is what we do. Okay. So that is that. Okay, AIXBT, you've got your levels. I'm trying to accumulate a position. I explained why I thought this was an important project yesterday. So trying to build a position on this thing. Obviously, don't want to lose these lows. Okay, we don't want to lose the 465 region. Ultimately, we want to have a nice size into that and then some kind of big pump from this thing. So that is ideally what I'm looking for. Then I've got a couple of others for you guys. This one is called Griffin. Now, Chaos was going to talk about this one yesterday, and I don't think we actually got to mention it. But Griffin is DeFi. Now, have you heard of this? DeFi is now DeFi AI. So it's DeFi on AI. Okay, these guys with their narratives and their new categories. Okay, it never ends in crypto. I mean, remember when they invented DePIN? And they just started throwing all these magic words together just like that. They invented a new category. But anyway, this Griffin is a thing, okay? It's now flipped AIXBT as the top AI agent by mindshare over the last 6 hours. That was yesterday. And I thought, okay, let's look at this thing. Okay, here it is on the 4-hour chart. You can see relatively bullish here. It actually looks a little bit better than that AIXBT chart at the moment. And there's a couple of things in play for me. So if somebody said, where's my level for an investment or something like that on this type of thing, I would say, look, I'd have to say it's lower down. Okay, I'd have to look at this thing and say, that is the first type of zone I'd really be looking. You know, that type of horizontal is a buy zone for me. That's like a higher conviction zone, 36 to 37. That's an interesting area for me. If it's going to hold these levels, obviously we want that bounce off that zone. But yes, we obviously get degen plays in between, and you can see something as simple like this on the 4-hour, looking at a possible 618 and horizontal in play for us right now, but it's not a high conviction zone. But we could get some kind of short-term bounce here on this Griffin. And let's just look at these levels. So I'm just dialing in here. You can see level number 1, simple 618 bounce, 4405. So degen traders, you can use these types of things for scalps. Again, we can't guarantee how high this wants to go. It might just be a lower high before they come and start sending us down to those types of levels. So just look out for that type of move in play. But 4405, we can't deny that is support for us. You can see 1 hour potential reversal there. So we could be getting a bounce on Griffin now off that 618. So use 4405 as your support marker. 1 hour is telling us possible bounce. You can see what happens previously when we get those reversals. Look at that. We got an upside move on the 1 hour, another one there, another one over there. Okay, you can see there is a bit of activity. Okay, that was a lot smaller. That was before anybody knew about this thing. Okay, so potential reversal coming on Griffin. 4405 is your support. Look for that move higher. Look for the lower high. Okay, look out for that. might be a short-term move because we can see the higher time frames do want to roll over a little bit there for us. Okay, another one is Orion. Now, this is an OG AI token. And somebody asked me to chart this not too long ago on one of our private Zoom sessions, and I didn't even know that this was an OG AI agent. Okay, we charted it, we spoke about it, but this thing's been around for 4 years, according to Income Sharks. And they've never stopped building. They got 2 new products that are doing well, seeing 20 new AI agent tokens pop up daily, knowing most will rug. I'm going with proven teams. Okay, that's what he's saying. Obviously, this AI agent narrative, there's going to be a lot of bullshit coming out. Okay, just understand that. There's going to be a lot of fake projects and a lot of pump and dumps. When there's a new narrative, the market obviously gets a little bit overexcited, and that's when the criminals start coming out. Okay, so look out for those moves. And let's take a look here. So Orion Chain, this is available on multiple exchanges, but this one I'm looking at the moment is on MEXC. And you can see we are having, we've got our 382 bullish bounce. So 10.8 right now. You can see that is our first support level that we be looking at. So interesting for me here on this thing is when you do get your dumps, okay, you get your push higher, then you get that 382 bounce. What happens next? You often tend to move down to the 618 and sometimes even lower before you get that next move. So for me, this is a DCA region. I would be cautious up here, aping in a full bag. But what makes sense to me here is these are potential DCA zones. So number one, you'd look for that lower high, then maybe again lower down, and then who knows, maybe even lower off those types of levels. But that is DCA stuff for me. So 10.8 zone number one that you're going to pay attention to. Look at that nice 382 and horizontal. Then another big one, 9.25 for me. That's going to be your next one, your next buy. So 9.25 is what you're going to be looking at. And then the absolute lows, I mean, that's going to be disgusting if we go there, 7.22. Okay, so these are some interesting AI agent projects for you guys. I thought, yes, let's stare it. Let's look at it. Didn't look at it too much last year, but I'm glad we're starting to talk about these things now. And let's see if there is some more juice in the tank. Fuck me, guys. We're going to squeeze it out of these things. Okay, let's look at Lido. And this one, I haven't spoken about Lido in a while. So Milk Road telling us Lido remains the king of staked assets, 35 billion staked. It holds more than double its closest competitor, Eigenlayer, while Jito rounds out the top 3. So I had a go with Lido. I'm going to show you that trade now. Oh, it looks like I'm going to get rinsed. So I've had a go on Bitfunded. Now, Bitfunded is a prop trading situation. What they do is they give you a demo account and you need to trade. You get 8%, then you get 5%, and then they give you real money to trade with. So what you can do with that real money is you keep 80 to 90% of the trading profit. So you've got to pass a little bit of a test. And how do you do the test? Well, you can buy the base package or the starter package or an even bigger package and get a $5,000 or a $10,000 account for $79 or $100. Then you get 8%, then you get 5%, and then you are on your way. Then you are trading with their money and you keeping 80 to 90% on the profit. So you can see here at the top, it says demo. This is Bitfunded. This is a starter package, and there's no limit as to how many packages you can buy. You can have multiple Bitfunded strategies, and you can try different things on Bitfunded. So I've had a go on Lido. I'm going to show you that chart right now. Let's talk about it. And there it is. So Lido looking interesting to me on the 4 hour, and I couldn't ignore the fact that it was moving into the 50-day MA. It was moving into the VWAP from the lows. It was moving into a 382 fib for me. So that is a reaction zone. That is something we want to pay attention to. And then notable for me, the chart prime oscillator. Look how heavily oversold this one is at the moment on the 4 hour. So possible reversal coming here on this oscillator. So just speculating, I've had a go on Bitfunded. It's the demo account. I've had a crack here on Lido. You can see what I'm looking at here. Any dips, even a fake out just below this 50-day MA can make sense to me. Look at that. Take out that horizontal in that region. So look out. Anything down to 1.8. If you start closing under 1.8, yes, then I would say this 1.68 is on for Lido. But right now, we can't ignore 50-day MA, anchored VWAP, 382 fib, some horizontals tied in here for you. Could be worth looking at. Even a short-term bounce play on Lido could be something here for us. Let's look at the 1 hour. Look at that 1 hour, also telling us possible reversal around the corner. Okay, look how heavily oversold that is at the moment. Again, can't guarantee if it's a massive bounce or not, but you can see these zones. And when the RSI is oversold like that, what happens? The brakes get put on. And you can see right now, they've put on the brakes. It makes us, gives us a time to make some rational decisions, to think properly, and then, make a call on our trades, especially if we are underwater. So Lido looks interesting to me. Looking for a bounce here. What are the targets? 2 and potentially 2.1. And just notable, yeah, I've just seen this now, but look at that, a little 1 hour. You can see these head and shoulders, they come and they play out all the time on these altcoins. Okay, this is nothing new. Head and shoulders on an altcoin, on a shitcoin. It happens all the time. Okay, let's talk render. Now, this was a banger from yesterday. And look, part of me wishes I closed some of that long yesterday, but, we've added to it now and we're backing the bull back. Now, we need to see that bounce on render. So what are they saying? 21 shares increases the size of their render ETP to $2.1 million. I mean, it's newsworthy. But it's only $2.1 million at the end of the day. But let's take a look at render. Why am I holding my render position? Well, here it is. Okay, so we've got our beautiful pump. We know render was probably one of the outperformers relative to other alts over the last, over the last couple of days. Okay, one of the extreme outperformers. Look at the size of this pump that we got from render. If this is going to remain bullish, yes, I want a piece of the action. 36% pump from the lows on the 1st of Jan. So nice little move for us. And we are now in pullback zone number 1. We are in hot zone number 1, 8.1. You can see why this makes sense to me as a potential bounce zone on render. Look at all these horizontals tied in for us. Look at our 50-day MA. Look at our 382. There's a ton going on in this region. So I just wanted to highlight this for you, that 8.1. Now let's look at a DGen chart here. Let's really dial in and see what is going on. So render on the 2 hour, what do I want to see? Well, we can see number 1, our oscillator, we're looking for this one to reset. What we want to see is some kind of divergence print, some kind of print here. Okay, so we're looking for it. You can see at the moment the chart, we want to print that higher low on render. That should give us our bullish divergence then lower down. We should start seeing some kind of divergence there on that chart prime oscillator. So the levels I'm watching from a DGen perspective, and specifically obviously for my trade that I'm now sitting in. Let's just see if this is going down here. We're getting rinsed. Hopefully not getting rinsed. Okay, so specifically for this trade. Okay, here let's just highlight this guy. Okay, you can see my average entry is 7.64. My stop loss is at 7.77 at the moment. Okay, so let's go back to render. You can see why this is an important region for me. This whole sort of block here, you can see anything down to 7.9 makes sense as well. So if we get a DGen wick into these types of zones, that makes sense for me. My entry is a little bit lower. It's sitting in that type of region over there. So looking for that to hold for me. So another add zone, if we do dip in there, going to add a little bit more to that render position and start looking for that bounce. Okay, so that is the game plan. You can see the bigger picture chart as well. And then what do you do if things really start falling over? Now, let's say between now and tomorrow, the market falls over and I'm not around. You got to understand where your next big zone is. So for me, your next big zone most likely becomes your 618. Okay, so that is going to be your next port of call. So let's get out the 618. Look at this absolute banger here. I've got a VWAP from the lows and I've got 7.5. So that is going to be your next save yourself zone. Put it that way. If the market starts wiping out, that most likely becomes your next buy zone. So 7.54 is going to be your next zone. Look at that hot zone there. Makes sense to me down there. So just always, as usual, be prepped, understand where your DGen entries are, understand where your next level is. Obviously, we can't predict when the market is exactly going to reverse, but we do know what a hot zone is. We do know where we get reactions on those areas, and we can, with balance of probabilities, make some calls on those zones. So just always make sure you know where your next level is. What is your next big zone where you get that reaction? Always be prepared, because when we do get a little meltdown in the market, sometimes it happens a little bit fast and you don't have time to react appropriately. Now, the next one I want to talk about is 𝗬𝗏, and 𝗬𝗏 implements EVM compatibility and 𝗬𝗏 launch. First native DEX incoming. Okay, this is from AI-XPT. I mean, look at that. And we're using AI-XPT's chart at the moment. And there he goes. He's now giving us alpha and things like that on 𝗬𝗏. So interesting to me, here is 𝗬𝗏 on the 2 hour. And I dropped this one in Chart Hackers earlier today. And you can see we've had a beautiful reaction off our VWAP. Our VWAP from the lows. When was this? This was on the 20th of December. That dump on the 20th of December, the major dump. You can see we've got a reaction now on that VWAP, on that 0.5, and on these horizontals. So that is coming into play now for us on 𝗬𝗏, and that is first zone. So 510 is what you're looking at now. If you're looking to build a position, 510 is what you're at. Then the next one, 490. Look at that. That's a 618. And those make sense to me. If we are going to get some kind of bullish bounce out of the market, I'd like to see 490 hold. I don't really want to go lower than that. I'm sitting in a tower position. I'm trying to grow it. If we do start hitting that 618, we're going to be adding to this tower position. So I've added a little bit on that first zone. I add a little bit lower down and waiting. If we do start dipping into lower levels, then we're going to add onto this tower and see if we can grow it just a little bit more. But that is what I'm expecting on tower. That is what I'm looking at. 2 hour, you can see the 2 hour looking for some kind of reversal there on the 2 hour. Let's take a look at our 4 and just see what the 4 is telling us. The 4 is close. Okay, the 4 is pushing down into these types of levels. So could be, could be a few more hours here, potentially. Could be a little bit more downside. But look out, those are the main levels that you're going to watch. These are your accumulation levels. If your bias is bullish on the market, naturally, you want to print that higher low and you want to hold things like your 618. Now, as an emergency, you can also bang out a trend and you can see there are levels lower down. Okay, obviously, we don't really want to see that. It's going to put us under pressure, but that is what I'm looking at. 490. 510, those are my big levels on tower, and extremely extreme panic. Okay, if the market really kills us, you're going to find a 786 at 470. Okay, 786 and a macro trend, that works a hell of a lot as well. So that is what you need to watch. Now, who's dying in PopCat with me? And I mean, this fucking PopCat, Ray. Here we go again. Okay, so rode this PopCat up. Here we go. Now we're riding it all the way down. Now, the interesting thing for me, what I said yesterday was, it would be amazing if we can print a higher low on PopCat and we start really dipping deep on this oscillator. So you can see right now, we might have a situation here where we start getting divergence on this oscillator. We get some kind of divergence print. That could tell us that we are going to get some kind of big snapback move on PopCat. So that is kind of what I'm waiting for, kind of what I'm hoping for here on PopCat. You can see big level to the downside. Look at that. Look at all these wicks here sitting in the zone. So that would also make sense to me. So PopCat, if it doesn't bounce in this existing region, 7677, the next banger for me is going to be 713. 713 is where it's at. Look out there for that move. You can see by then this 4 hour will be pretty heavily oversold. We'll be looking for some kind of reaction there. So PopCat, if you're not in PopCat, don't rush into it now. Okay, wait and see what happens here. Let's see if we get that dip into 7125. It looks a little bit dippy there. Ray, am I going to get rinsed here, bro? We still there. Okay, we got our VWAP a little bit lower. We gotta just hang in there. Let's see if we're gonna get that. Okay, and then H bar. Okay, let's see H bar. A little scalp setup for you guys. Again, it's not a massive conviction setup. This was a setup that I dropped in Chart Hackers yesterday. Okay, a couple of things going on. I took that H-bar trade. I dropped this breakout setup in Chart Hackers yesterday. Took the trade. Obviously, closed it at our target. Our target was the 331. That was 618. Taking out this wick. I highlighted that there as well. So nice target, nice TP zone there. Now H-bar fell over again. And what is it reacting on? So something relatively simple. We're getting a reaction on our VWAP from the lows. We're getting a reaction on the 0.5 fib, and we're getting a reaction on these horizontals. So a couple of things are falling into place for me to tell me this could be a little scalp play. And you can see we are getting a green reversal print now on our 1 hour. So might be a small move, might be a couple of percent here on H-bar, might be no percent. But if you're interested in trying, you can see I've taken a long on H-bar in this region and looking for that obviously to hold and then maybe just grind up a little bit before we get some more downside. So right now, H-bar trader 0.297 is what you can use as your support marker, 0.297. You can see that oscillator wants to reverse just now. They might sweat it a little bit more, so just look out. Okay, try and look for the candle close below 297. If you're going to exit. So remember, what they like to do is sometimes come and send you down and then wick you back up. So they want to grab some stops and then send it straight back up. So if you are in front of your Mac or your PC and you're in front of your trade, look out for that stop hunt. Just be careful in those zones because you might get a situation, little pop down, then bang, they come and send it higher. So try and look for a candle close under 297 before you make rash decisions. And then lower down your backup level, 289 is going to be your backup zone. Okay, chats, guys. I haven't seen anybody in the chats here. I haven't even spoken to you guys. NZ Danny is in the house. He says Ray's still poorly. Ray is not in good shape. Ray, give us a cough. Come, let's hear. How are you feeling?
No cough right now. I'm happy about that. No cough.
Ray's not in good shape, guys. He's a little bit sick.
There you go. You got it.
Okay, so Ray will be back in full force soon. But I know he's still grinding out. He's grinding out some of his sessions there in Chart Hackers. So guys, one of these days I'm going to join Ray on his session. When is your next session, by the way?
New York Open tomorrow.
What time?
New York
Night
Open.
So what time is that my time? 3:30 p.m. right? Okay,
I believe
I'll
so.
be there. I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to join Ray tomorrow. We're going to scalp the shit out of some of these things tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So make sure, Chart Hackers guys, I'll be on there with Ray tomorrow. Chris Fritz says, I've been accumulating spot trading, being tough. Yeah, he's been accumulating. Guys, it's choppy conditions. Not easy. Not easy stuff out there. I see Ray's in the house. Everyone's sweating their new positions at the moment. That's part of the fun. Let's see. Are we getting rinsed here? Oh, this Bitcoin. Let's pull up the Bitcoin chart here. Let's watch this one. Let's watch this Bitcoin together here. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so here's our VWAP that we're looking at. This is the VWAP from the lows. I'm looking for that reaction at this VWAP. So if they do put us under pressure, 96770, James, and then it's 95770. That is this box. Unfortunately, it's quite a big box that we need to look at, because if we don't bounce off that VWAP, it's that 618 most likely is going to be your next reaction zone. So remember, we can't guarantee the size of the bounce, but we know that in these zones, just like they did earlier, that is where they put on the brakes. That is where some action always happens in these areas. So we're looking for that. And Ludong says long squeeze incoming here. Oh, yeah, it looks like it. Okay, David says, are we please? Okay, let's look at are we quickly for Dave. I am sitting in an R-Weave short. Let's just see how we're going here. Okay, it's going nice and green. Okay, it's a good one. Okay, let's get R-Weave out. Oh, this was Frog from earlier today. Now, just one of our Chart Hackers members was sweating bullets in Frog, and he asked me to look at it. Now, I know nothing about Frog. I think I've traded it once or twice on my show. I think the one time I actually got fucking absolutely rinsed on this thing. And when one of our Chart Hackers members says, please help, I'm getting rinsed. Well, I had to take a look. And Frog, if it's going to bounce, this is the zone. If like, other than that, this thing is going to, I don't want to say it's going to zero, but if it doesn't hold the macro trend in 786, which you know that I love to see, then we're most likely looking at our next level down here. And that is going to be our horizontals at around 175. Okay, so just be careful with Frog. I'm not trading this thing. I'm staying away. And in fact, I'm going to remove that just in case. I'm not taking this Frog trade. Okay, but you can see the signs are there. 4 hour nearly reversing. We are moving into a reaction zone, 215. Just be careful in that zone. You can see it sweating out. The minute Bitcoin bounces, yes, I think this thing will move, but watch out. 215. Watch that guy, and then lower down 185. Okay, so watch those areas there. Now let's talk R-Weave. Oh, okay, so R-Weave also a thing of beauty. Look at that. 50-day MA rejection, 382 rejection, and typical hot zone. Look at that. We got a VWAP in the house there as well. Now R-Weave is falling over. Let's dial in. Let's take a look at a little bit closer and see where this thing can potentially reverse. Okay, so let's bang out some VWAPs here. Okay, we'll take a VWAP from these lows. We'll take a VWAP from that guy as well. That makes sense to me. Okay, look at that. We've got our first VWAP in play there for R-Weave. Let's take a fib from there. Let's see what that looks like. Not the worst. Okay, let's see what our fib looks like from the lows. Okay, we'll get our 0.5 there. Okay, interesting. Okay, we've seen a couple of examples like this. Some of these alts. One of the ones we've just done on the show, I can't remember now offhand. It was one of the tokens that I've just looked at on the show. 17.1. That makes sense to me. Okay, so 17.1. Look at that VWAP. So that is that VWAP from the lows. Might tie in with a Bitcoin reaction on Bitcoin's VWAP as well. So look at that. That could be interesting. Look at 17 and then 6. It's not great. 16.4. It's not great. Let's look at, I want to add that 786 there. I think that 786 might be better. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, so 17.1, I like that. Then there's a bit of noise in between at that 618, but what makes more sense here, and the market will be fully sweated out if it hits that 15.5 is what you're going to watch. What was that comment there when Run said AI was going to pull all of us out of the market? I did not think it would be so soon. What is he talking about here? Okay, yeah, Matty says Frog looks awful. Fuck, guys, Frog does look awful. And Zolani, yeah, straight to zero. What is Run saying there, Ray?
From Rand's show on Sunday about the AI agents. About they were going to put us out of the market or something. And it's happening. It's rinsing the market.
Oh, fuck. They're ending us already, bro. Okay, Steve is calling Asian God candles tomorrow. Guys, well, look, we'll see. Okay, stuff's going down. And Alex wants to know about metas, guys. When we look at some E-strength plays again, we'll cover metas for you, Arbitrum, the normal stuff. Pepe, haven't touched that in a while as well. So, okay, you've got some entries. Again, 1 hour reversals potentially coming for us. Bigger time frame, maybe a little bit more downside, and then those dailies still look okay on some of those oscillators for a little bit more to the upside. Okay, so hang in there, guys. If you're sweating, don't trade too many positions. Make sure, like we did yesterday, when it's green, head shorts. Okay, when it's red, you can look for longs, but when it's green, those are your best opportunities to bang out those shorts. Look how relaxing is it when you got those head shorts in play, printing green. It's like nice. You're printing handbags when the market's falling over. Okay, it's quite a vibe. Okay, so get used to it, get into it, and trade some of the shorts with me. And obviously in Chart Hackers, we cover this stuff a hell of a lot. So remember, all the stuff that I talk about is in the show link in the description below. So just click on the show, go under the show, all the exchanges I use, all the things there, Chart Hackers, everything is there for you guys. Okay, I'm back tomorrow, same time. Hopefully the market doesn't absolutely kill us, and we'll catch you guys later. So I don't want to get rinsed.
Yeah, it's looking shady.